Hello everyone, I'm Partly Cloudy, and this is your ultimate guide to everything Azeron. In this video, I'll be going over quite a few things, including my most updated binds that I use for Fortnite right now, so if you want to skip to any part of the video, the timestamps are on screen as well as down in the description below. First things first, the people over at Azeron are working on this product constantly. Not only are they expanding their keypad manufacturing capabilities, they're developing newer and better software for their keypads as well. So take a look at the date of this video. If April 12th, 2020 is fairly recent, like, I don't know, within a year or so, you're probably good. That's because even if the addition of the software in this video is different from the one that's out when you're watching this video, the steps should be basically the same. However, if you're watching this video like 50 years from now, then honestly, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Go do something else. Now that that's out of the way, let's take a quick look at the keypad. If you're a little lost while looking at this thing, I don't blame you. There's a lot going on. Let's start by taking a look at the keys here. There are 4 keys at the bottom. I call these pull down keys because you pull down on them. How intuitive. Push down keys, 4 of those as well. If you tilt this up a little bit, you'll see there are actually 4 push forward keys, and you can see my fingers hitting those as we go. Then at this top row, I call these upper row keys. And then these are the top keys, and there's only 2 of those. And they're hard to see, but at an angle, you got them up there. Now you got another key right here. You got a thumbstick, which does have a click. And then you have this, which is a directional D-pad. This button goes in any of the 4 directions and also has a click on it as well. Then on the side, you've got this bright glowing light, the Azeron logo, and this is a button to change profiles between profile 1 and profile 2. And you can see them shining through my thumb there as we go. That's that. And then on the bottom, this little hole right here, that is the reset button. You will be using that button later during the next part where we download the software. So let's go do that. To download everything you're gonna need for your Azeron keypad, head over to azeron.eu. It'll be the first link in the video description. You can check out some of the other tabs while you're here. The blog tab is where the Azeron team posts their updates on new things they're working on and things like that. They've got a gallery for pictures and a store, which is where you can buy your own keypad if you want to do that. But if you're watching this tutorial, I'm going to assume that you already have a keypad, and so we're going to want to click on that Downloads tab there. On this page, you're going to look at these 2 things, the Azeron software and the Azeron firmware. Like I said earlier, the numbers here, they don't really matter. If it says pre-alpha or whatever, does not matter. All that matters is you download this and download this. The manual over here is here for you to download as well. You don't have to if you're watching this video. We're going to cover basically everything in that. But if you want to download that and keep it on your computer so that you can have it in case you need it, that's there for you as well. Now, I already have these downloaded, so I'm not going to click on them, but you click on those, let those download, and then you will be ready to go. I'm going to click on mine. That's where I downloaded mine on my desktop here, and we're going to open this file, Teensy. Teensy is Azeron's, firmware loading software, and this allows us to put any new firmwares on our Azeron keypad. I say any new firmwares because Azeron will continually put out new firmware updates for you, and you're going to want to use this thing. So if you're just updating your firmware again, you can follow the guide here. Things that they add, for example, are for 360-degree movement. That was something you previously had to use an emulator with to be able to use that. Now you don't have to use an emulator thanks to their newest firmware update. And to install that, you're going to want to use this. So click on this first button here. It's going to have you open that file that you had previously downloaded. If it doesn't open that file you previously downloaded, just find where you downloaded that. It'll probably be in your downloads tab, and then navigate over to the firmware.hex. Once that's loaded in, you're going to want to look at your keypad. Your keypad should be plugged in at this point, by the way. Mine is right here. We're going to look at the bottom of it, and I was talking earlier about a little button that is right here. This little hole right here, there's a button on the inside of that. you have to stick something into it and press that to reset your keypad. I recommend a paper clip, or in this case, I have a little zip tie. So I'm gonna press that. You're gonna see the light go out because the keypad will reset as I do that. And you can go ahead and pull out of that. And then head over back to the firmware. Now that you're on this, all you're gonna wanna do is press the second thing, the second tile, the down arrow, and that will download the firmware onto your keypad. Once you've done that, you should be good to go to press that button. When it says reboot OK, go ahead and unplug your Azeron keypad and then plug it back in, and you'll be ready to launch the Azeron software. Now that we've downloaded the Azeron firmware to our keypads, we can go ahead and mess around a little bit with the software. Go ahead and click on that software that you downloaded from the Azeron website, and it'll look a little something like this. This can be a little confusing when you first look at it, but not everything here is important. You're not going to be using all of this. Let's go over some of it real quickly though. Update is if you want to update the software from within the software, so you don't have to go to the Azeron website every time there's a new update. So instead you can just click that. If you're using a ZIM, and a ZIM, if you don't know, then you're probably not using one, but a ZIM is the USB type device that you need to be able to use the Azeron keypad on console, like PS4 or Xbox One. Or any console. If you're planning on using that, you need to download this firmware and do what we talked about in the previous step again. However, I am not using a ZIM. I do not play on console, so I'm not going to be talking about that anymore. If you need help with that, go to Azeron's website. They have a support section. You can join their Discord where lots of people are willing to help. People that have set ZIMs up themselves, people that are playing Fortnite and other games on their consoles with the keypad. So go talk to those people or look up some tutorials on YouTube. I've seen a couple tutorials on how to set it up, so you can find that if you need it. We're not going to be talking about that anymore for the rest of this video, however. Turn LEDs on and off, pretty self-explanatory. Switch to left-handed mode. If you bought a left-handed keypad, make sure to click that. If not, leave it unclicked. LED brightness, not super important. Change the brightness, blah, blah, blah. This is very important. This setting is probably the most important thing on this page. This changes the amount of time that needs to pass before you can press the same button twice. Now, the reason why this is so important is because in a game like Fortnite, where you're pressing perhaps your edit key very quickly over and over and over again, I don't remember what the default is for this, but I was not able to edit on this keypad because whatever the default setting was, it was far too high. And every time I tried to hit my edit key more than once in a row, it would not register any inputs after the first button press, because it was making sure that ghost pressing wasn't happening. Ghost pressing meaning pressing a button twice when you only mean to press it once. So for a game that maybe is way more tactical in the button inputs, a game where you need to only press a button once, and if you accidentally press it twice, perhaps you lose or what have you, then this is something you probably want to play with a little bit. However, for Fortnite, any other games that are very fast-paced that need a lot of button inputs to happen very quickly, you need to put this at 0. If it's anything higher than 0, you're probably going to run into problems. I would just recommend trying it out for yourself. 0 is what works for me because I don't want any delay. It might be better for some people, and it will be better in different games to be higher up and lower. So just figure out what works best for you, test it out in game, and you can slide this while you're in game. You can run this on one monitor and run the game on the other, or just Alt-Tab over to this and change it mid-game. And if you change from 255 to 0 or any other point on this scale, then load back into your game, it'll automatically be done. You don't have to reload or anything like that. So very, very useful. I recommend putting this on 0 for games like Fortnite. Now, you're probably not going to be using any of these buttons here, but this calibrate analog joystick is the last thing on this front page. This allows you to set up the dead zone for the joystick on your keypad to make sure it's as optimal as possible. So all you want to do is press that joystick on the keypad in any direction and then move it in a complete circle at least once. Sometimes you have to do it more than once, and it recommends that you do it more slowly, I believe it says right here. The slower you move, the more accurate it will be. So I'll go very slowly this time, and it will give me a accurate dead zone for my keypad. So that way I do not have any ghost inputs. So that is what my dead zone stuff is. You don't have to memorize any of that. You can just hit save. It says try again in big here, but just hit save down there, and you'll see that is my new updated analog joystick dead zone. That's all you need to know on the front page. Let's move on to the profiles. Over here are the profiles. Go ahead and click on that. My binds are actually saved, even though I reset my keypad. That's actually very interesting. I was not expecting that. These are the binds I use for Fortnite, and I will show you really quickly. I'll just move this over to the side here and turn on my hand cam. As you can see, the keypad has the buttons on it that correlate to the green things over here. So I messed that up. As I press things on my keypad, you'll see them lighting up in real time on the software. This is because that's what they correlate to. Now, if you want to change any of these on the fly, all you have to do is click on it and click on your keyboard at anything on your keyboard. So if I want to change this to, oh God, that's a white light and it's coming in as pink, but change it to Y. All you have to do is press Y on your keyboard, and now that is Y. If you want to change it to K, now it is K. I'm going to change it back to W because that is what I have my bind set to in Fortnite. Now, the most important part of this section is the analog joystick. As you can see here, this moves in the direction that I'm moving my thumb. You can see it's moving in real time. Now, when I press forward, that to me is forward. That might not be the case for everyone. I don't know why, but perhaps you might want to go forward when you press down on your joystick, or you might want to go forward when you press back on your joystick. If you have those needs, you can go into your joystick and change this setting right here, angle. Angle will change the angle at which the keypad is taking that thumbstick. So now, since I changed my angle a little bit, here, let's go a little bit higher so you guys can see the difference. I'm going to press forward in the exact same way, and watch this here. It goes to the side instead of previously it went there. Now, this is important if you have a different hand shape. If you're changing the location of this, you can move this actually by loosening the screws on the bottom. You can move this compartment, and if forward does not feel normal here for you, it might feel normal here or here, then you want to change the angle here. I like mine at 0. You probably will too, but if you need to change that, that is there. These dead zones are here if you want to change the sensitivity. So if I make this upper and lower dead zone here, you can see in real time this thumb, it's going to take a lot longer. I'm moving this, and it does not move this until it passes that dead zone area, and you'll see it's quite a big amount of movement. And if you'll see, if we go up here, then I can push my thumbstick quite far before it registers movement there. So that's if you're playing a racing game or something like that and it matters to you. All that customization is here. I don't know how to I don't remember what it was, so let's just do that. I like my sensitivity where it is. Again, that's the same thing. If I have sensitivity at 0, then it's quite stiff, but if I have it at 100, you'll see it bounces all over the place very, very easily. It moves around really quickly. So that's what all of those do there. I like mine at 10, so I will do that. Now, if you are playing a game that does not support 360-degree movement, for example, I'm pretty sure Call of Duty Warzone does not support 360-degree movement at the same time as a mouse input. So if you're using a keyboard and mouse like I am using, or I'm sorry, a keypad and mouse, then you're going to be needing this setting right here. Clicking on keyboard will change the thumbstick from a 360-degree input to a WASD input. So when I hit accept here, you'll see it's changed to WASD. And now, instead of pressing forward, moving my character forward by 360, it presses W on a artificial, I guess, keyboard. The drawback of this is you're not getting a full 360-degree input, obviously, you're getting WASD. So just much like if you were pressing W and A on a keyboard at the same time, you will move in a perfect linear path when you're pressing W and A. And now you can see, following this blue dot, you'll see as I move forward, right here, it loses that A input pretty early on. I'm definitely not moving completely forward. I'm definitely not moving completely to the left, but it's only registering this as W. So if you're playing in game and you're used to 360-degree movement, you would think that your character would be moving in that direction. But with WASD, your character is actually only going to be moving straight. So that is the drawback of using this setting, but in some games it is required, so you're going to have to live with that. In games like Fortnite, for example, Xbox 360 analog stick movement, it is supported, so you're able to do that. For a list of games that are that support it and don't, you're probably gonna head over to that Azeron Discord and ask people there, does this game support it? Or I can't get this game to work and you guys said it does. How do I do that? They are going to help you and they know a lot of stuff about that. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about is profiles. I know we're kind of already talking about them now, but profiles can be saved onto your keypad. If you want to save a profile onto your keypad, all you have to do is change any of these binds on profile 1 or profile 2. That will automatically save them to your onboard memory. If you are on your computer with your Azeron software installed, then you can use software memory. These profiles are only usable if you're on the computer, like I said, with your Azeron software. This profile is something I use when I'm playing Minecraft. I only play Minecraft on this computer, so I just have it saved as a third, and you can only save 2 on your onboard anyway. You can make as many, as you can see, I've done quite a few others and I've deleted because it skipped straight to 9, but you can make as many software profiles as you want. Let's just make a ton, and you can change these binds to whatever you want them to be and switch them all up. You don't have to do this, obviously, but if you wanted to, and you can rename them and change that and have something for every single game that you play. Now, the reason there is a difference between these two is onboard memory profiles are saved onto your keypad. That means if you unplug your keypad and take it to school, I don't know why you would do that, but if you do that, or go to a friend's house, or go anywhere and plug it into a computer that does not have Azeron software on it, it will be able to load this profile, and it will be able to use this profile, and this second profile as well. However, anything saved in this software profile section, it will not be able to use. So these are for games that you're playing on your computer only, and these are for me, I only really use my Azeron on my computer as well, but if you're using this at a friend's house, this will work. If you're using your keypad at a friend's house, these will not. So that is a really cool feature that these are saved, but you can do as many as you want. You can activate these and it will work. So if you want to switch to profile 10 or 11, for example, and it's not working, make sure you hit this activate button and then go open your game and it should work just fine. Now, I think that's about it. That was a really long section, but if you are just here to set up your keypad, then you're all done. That's the end of the video for you. If you want to look at what my binds are in Fortnite and what they correlate to, then let's go do that right now. All right, and now we're in Fortnite. As you can see, I've got the profile for my software on the right, my hand cam here on the left, and the game in the middle. Now, I know this looks kind of weird, but the reason I can't just show you what my binds are in game is because if I go to my settings and my binds, you'll see, for example, reload is G. That doesn't mean anything to you because G could be bound to anything on my keypad, so I have to kind of go over them one by one. Now, before I do that, I just want to talk about real quick optimal binds and optimizing your Azeron keypad binds. Now, optimizing your binds is a bigger issue on keyboard mouse than it is on anything else. The reason is, with keyboard mouse, you have to have 4 buttons set to movement, WASD. When you have those 4 buttons set to movement, you basically are losing 4 buttons that you can press for anything else. With an Azeron keypad, now all you need is your thumb to be able to move in any direction you want, and you have all of your fingers and all these other buttons set to ready to be used for anything else. I have my binds on a specific set, and I'll show you guys here, but that does not mean my binds are most optimal. I would say that there are still an optimal set of, I guess, ideas that you could follow that would make your binds more optimal than mine. But with that being said, let's just talk about the ones that I have, and you guys can see for yourselves. So for my binds, I've got jump is my pinky, my wall is W, and that is my ring finger. Floor is my middle finger, and these are the pull down buttons. You can see on the right, you can see which ones are being pressed. V is that for me, that's my index finger, and that is my stare. And then those are my build binds on my keypad. I have my last build bind on my mouse. It's hard to see, but I have 2 mouse buttons here. You see that? That is my cone, and then this other mouse button is crouch for me. Don't ask me why I use crouch on my mouse. It's actually so I can crouch spam while I'm shooting, but it's just something that I have for my preference. Now, I really like having my builds the way that they are, because when I'm doing 90s, it tends to lend itself to being able to do something like this sort of like hand finger drumming, where I can move my fingers in that sort of motion because of the way that my binds are. So as you see on the right there, you'll see they move in a wave pattern because of the way that my binds are. So I personally think that they fit really well in this particular orientation, but something I ran into is my edit bind is this button right here. It's the button, I guess, in front of my ramp, and that's only a problem due to the nature of a mongrel classic. So when you're, oh Jesus Christ, I'm like super tired right now. When you're doing a mongrel classic, what you're doing is you're placing a ramp inside someone's box and you're editing it very quickly. Well, my ramp is the same finger as my edit button, so when I do it, sometimes I run into problems and I do something like this where I try to edit and I accidentally place a ramp over myself. I can still do them, obviously, and I've worked pretty hard at like getting better at that because it is difficult to get off, but that's just something that I'm running into due to my binds not being the most optimal. But for your binds to be optimal, what you want to do is have your build binds on fingers, on separate fingers. You don't want build binds to be all on the same finger. As you can see here, if I was to ramp floor wall with my current binds, I ramp floor wall. So I like do a reverse finger drum. So that's basically the way I go. Actually, I ramp and then wall floor is what I do based on my binds. But if you wanted to do all binds on the same finger, that would look something like this. And that is just very difficult to pull off, where you pull back and then press down and push forward. That would be very difficult to do quickly. Much easier to do that. So if you put your binds, your build binds on different fingers, you'll have a much easier time making your binds more optimal. So let's go over the rest of my binds. This button is R, the one that's lighting up as R, that's my edit button. And then the next button is T, that's my drop button. That's my pickup button. So as you can see, as I drop this, if I press T, pick it up. Z is my trap button. I don't have any traps, but that's the button I use for traps. And then this is shift. Shift is my rotate build button. I have that for the case, like, I have it here because I never really click down with my pinky, and in the event that I need to, I want it accessible. The time, like, some people just don't bind rotate at all. I recommend having it bound, and since you have an Azeron, you have the ability to bind whatever you want, and so why not? I find it's really useful when someone's doing this peanut butter edit on you, and if you're able to rotate your ramp and when they throw this edit at you, you can just pop your ramp like that in there over them and it blocks them. That's a really useful application of it. And I didn't used to have rotate ramp bound on my keyboard. When I was playing keyboard mouse, I didn't have it bound because I just didn't think I would use it, and I didn't have space for it. There was too many other things. So that's the benefit of having the Azeron Keypad, is at least for me, I'm able to use that now. So moving on, pushing to the right, that's my pickaxe. Pushing forward is weapon slot 1, so you can see switching between those right there. And then weapon slot 2, 3, 4, it's nothing showing up because I don't have anything in there, but that's weapon slot 4. And then up 1 is 5, or that's like the very last slot. From there, next to that is G. G is my reload, so if I shoot, I press up, you can see which button lights up, and he reloads there. I did not realize it doesn't reload until you let go. Huh, interesting. That's good to know, but that's reload. Then the next button is H, that's repair build, so if I hit H, it repairs. And J, I have set to like picking up, I think putting down henchmen and things like that. If you pick up a henchman, or I guess your teammate, this will put them down. And then not up here, that's P, that's just push to talk for me. So if I want to push to talk, I just hold that. And then the equals is my auto run, so I'm not touching anything here and my character's still running. Then this one here is escape, that's my menu button, obviously. This is my analog, so that's my movement. And then this directional pad I use down for map, so this is map when you're actually in normal game. Then forward is for my inventory, and then downward and up I don't really have bound to anything else. But I think that's it for my binds. Again, so there's not any correct set of binds. There's no binds that are going to be best. Like if you see a video from a YouTuber that says like these are the best binds, then they're lying to you or they just don't know what they're talking about. The best binds for you are whatever binds that you are most comfortable with. If you're trying something new and you just want to try something that you're not comfortable with, then that's fine. But as you stick with the one set of binds and practice them, even if someone says that they have better binds, it doesn't mean that they're better for you. Now, there are things, like I said, to make your binds better. There are things that you can do to make your binds better. For example, having your builds on different buttons. Maybe not having edit on the same button as a build button. Maybe having edit on your mouse, perhaps. Maybe instead of having crouch on my mouse, I should put edit on there. I'm not going to change my binds, but if you are going to make a bind, if you're going to change your binds to an Azeron situation, then I would recommend maybe learning from my mistakes, I guess. So those are the binds that I use currently. Those are the binds that I have been using for a while, and I think these are the binds that I'm going to be sticking with for as long as I'm playing Fortnite on the Azeron. And that's going to do it for this video. If you guys made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. If you didn't make it this far, I appreciate you too, but especially you guys. And if you have any questions, please put them down in the comments below. Again, the Azeron.eu linked in the description, and they have a lot of resources there too. So if I'm not available or whatever question that you may have, maybe it's something that I'm not able to answer, really go join their Discord if you have questions about your Azeron Keypad. They know everything. They made the damn thing, so they should be able to help you out. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.